What's going on, my fellow reef builders? I'm Jake Adams, coming back to you from the studio, and I want to extend a sincere appreciation to everyone who has been joining along and participating in this marathon of videos that we've been putting together this week. I think if this video comes out on time, we're gonna be at about 5 videos for the week. And I really want to get to a point where it's like 3 to 4 videos a week. So yeah, thanks to everyone for participating. I have a unique topic that I want to bring to you today. This is a sponsored video by Deltec. They helped me to put together this video on the twin-tech calcium reactor, and it was a very well received video. So many of you guys came up to me at MACNA after the video came out and asked about this particular calcium reactor because it's a really unique product. And so today, this video is about another really interesting Deltec product, and this is, as the title will tell you, about the Deltec E-Flow pump. So these 3 tanks right here, along with this entire pool right here, is being driven by an E-Flow 12, Deltec E-Flow 12. And here's the crazy part. It's only using 40 watts, 40 freaking watts to run this entire system. That's 10 watts for that tank, 10 watts for that tank, 10 watts for that tank, and 10 watts for this tank. And you might be thinking, if it's only 10 watts of power, there's probably not that much water going to each tank. But I've been waiting to do a water change on the system because the only way to really demonstrate how much water this pump pushes is by dropping the water level in these tanks and just showing you that. So that 400-gallon system has not had a significant water change since it was created over a year ago. You know, I've siphoned out some detritus, but I haven't done it like a significant percentage of the water. So we're gonna change probably about 100 gallons so we can drop each of these tanks a little bit and I can really show you this pump's capabilities. So very soon, I'm gonna be adding another tank. I expect to increase the power of the pump by only 10 watts when that tank comes online with the entire system. But before I do that, I've never cleaned this pump. I've never taken it apart. And so before I put or start depending on it for even more performance, I figured it would be a good time to take it out, take it apart, see how the internals have fared after just about a year of use, and yeah, just get a really close-up look at what it's about. So I want to show you how this pump is installed because I think that matters a lot to its performance, and then I'm going to take it out and we're going to get a really close look at it. All right, so just so this video is not just about reef aquarium gear, I'm just gonna give you a close look at the aquariums that are currently being powered by the Deltec E-Flow 12. This is the 100-gallon soft coral tank. This is a 75-gallon Euphilia tank. This is the 40-gallon LPS kind of moon coral tank. And this tank actually has no power head. So all of the water flow is being provided by the return from the Deltec E-Flow. This is the controller right here. This is a very simplified controller, so you can control the power level in 5-watt increments. It goes up to 130 watts. You have power to the pump, power to the controller, and there's a 0 to 10 volt input right here for connecting it to external controllers. And I think one of the reasons for the ludicrous efficiency that I'm experiencing is has a lot to do with the plumbing. You guys know I'm all about that plumbing. So the Deltec E-Flow 12 has a 40-millimeter outlet, which is almost perfect to connect to a 2-inch threaded US coupling. And I know it's not watertight, but since this is in a sump environment, it doesn't really matter if it leaks a little bit. Then we've got the union to make servicing the pump a lot easier, and then it quickly adapts to 1.5-inch plumbing. And one of the other things you'll see about this is it has no real elbows. I just have this big sweeping 1.5-inch section of spa flex that goes all the way down the tanks It feeds each one of them individually and have a ball valve at the inlet of each of these tanks so they can be individually adjusted. And I'll do the same thing for that one over there. And there's a little tee off that goes to feed this lagoon pump. But needless to say, with 130 watts of power, there's a ton of headroom left for the Deltec eFlow to really perform. So I'm going to undo a fabulous level of cable management so we can take the pump out, take it completely apart, and get a good look at the internals. I'm really curious to see if there's any wear, any calcification, and otherwise, you know, just kind of feel it up, then put it back, and then demonstrate with volume how much water this pump is actually pushing. So let's take a closer look at the Deltec eFlow high performance water pump. And to be super honest, like, I'm not really sure what it is that they do to make these pumps just really so incredibly efficient. You can see by the reference to the size of my hand, it's, you know, it's a sizable pump. It's not ginormous by any means, but somehow this pump just totally rocks it. So normally, this would be the point where I would actually acid bath the pump and then open it up and do some final cleaning. But since I want to see how much calcification has happened inside due to any kind of heat deposits, we're going to take it apart first and then give it a light acid bath. All right, I've got the Deltec eFlow open, and already a few things stand out to me. The first thing was that I've actually never seen a design where the base of the pump is attached to the faceplate or the volute of the water pump. You'll see it's a unidirectional design, so it's a synchronous motor. It can only spin in one direction, and there's that connection I was telling you about. This is a metric 40 millimeter, and it just so happens to screw in almost perfectly into US standard 2-inch fitting. So if you end up getting this pump, definitely take this advice and do that adapter like I did for this one. But that's not as important. But what is really important and super duper striking is see how dirty this is? It's fine. This is fine. This is like, you know, this is very, very reasonable for 9 months of action, I guess. But one thing I don't see is I don't see any calcification. This is just biofilm and a little bit of detritus. There's not one tiny bit of calcification here on this pump. And you know, this is the inlet right there for the cooling channel. So it draws water in and it cools this whole entire assembly, and the water actually kind of comes out the center of the spindle right here. So there's basically a cooling loop inside the pump, and I'm sure that these holes have something to do with it. Now, a lot of pumps actually have this cooling loop, but in this pump, as you can see, I actually dose a lot of kalkwasser and a lot of additives, and I have the calcium reactor. I can't feel a tiny bit of calcification in there. This is just biofilm, and this is a very, very reasonable amount for 9 months of I guess enlistment. So I did find a very, very small amount of calcification. So this is actually where you would expect for it to build up, but that is the smallest, most inconsequential degree of calcification. At this rate, it would take like 5 to 10 years for calcification alone to build up. And then, you know, there's just a little bit here in the volute. And then another thing to note, and I'm certain that this has something to do with the efficiency of this pump, and this is the chunkiest impeller I have ever seen. Not even kidding. As far as like an internal water pump goes, this is the thickest one. I imagine it just takes a lot of torque to get it going, and that adds to the efficiency. So what I really wanted to show you is just how clean this impeller has become. It's almost completely brand new, no biofilm, no calcification, and that central channel hole right there in the middle of the spindle is completely clean so that water can flow through it. So now it's kind of the moment that we've all been waiting for. Text specs on a sheet on paper that you read are not as helpful as just visibly seeing a ton of water movement. So I'm almost done over here filling up the sump. so that we can get a nice reservoir to show you a ginormous spigot of water coming back to each of these tanks at the same time using only 30 watts. So let's get this pump put back together, reinstalled, and refill these aquariums. All right, you guys, this whole video has basically culminated up to this. We've got the 100-gallon soft coral tank down, we've got the 75-gallon water level down, and we've got the 40-gallon LPS tank level down. This is all for the sole purpose of demonstrating how much water the eFlow actually pumps, because it's really easy to look at a spec sheet or be told how many gallons per minute or how many liters per hour a pump like this can move, but I feel like it's gonna be a whole lot more effective to just show you guys. So, got the controller plugged back in, and at 40 watts, we're gonna see just how much power this pump delivers. There it is. So this is 30 watts for these tanks, 10 watts for this tank. That's 10 watts of water flow, 10 watts of water flow, and 10 watts of water flow. These are not narrow outlets either. These are 3/4 inch outlets pushing a ton of water. It's really surprising just how much water this particular pump moves driving 3 or 4 tanks. I think the plumbing has a lot to do with it, but there's no doubt that Deltec has put together a beast of a water pump. I mean, just look how much water that is pushing. There's 10 watts, there's 10 watts, there's 10 watts, and we got another 10 watts going into the system. And the pump is rated for 130 watts, so I have actually some headroom to set up the next aquarium. You'll have to subscribe to see what that turns into. But if you have any questions about the Deltec eFlow, now's a good time to put them down in the comments below. If you want to learn more about Deltec and their products, go to deltec.com or Deltec USA in the United States. And big thanks to Deltec for sponsoring this video. I've had a lot of fun using the Twin Tech and the eFlow. And as you can see, it is one of the most important components of this united reef aquarium system. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next video.